Okay, I'm back again, and it's getting a little bit more noisy in my house. Um, I covered a lot of territory, more than I thought I was going to be able to cover. I found some photos, and some photos are missing. I've endeavored to try to put everything in the same place, but I'm going to have to do a search and see if I can find some of the photos in particular that are missing, the older photos, like the ones that I showed you. And then I have some later date photos because I want to show you maybe my mom, my aunt, um, since they are also part of that legacy and lineage and everything. Okay, so I do have some documents that are really interesting. I think this may be the oldest one. And remember when I was reading the scroll and I was talking about my great grandfather and his father and his mom. His mom's name was Sally, and they were from Maryville, Tennessee. And I have here a deed for property that Sally purchased, um, and it's got the registration fee, and it's a deed. It's got the clerk's name, and it's a deed of land to Sally Toole, which is kind of amazing. Uh, This indenture made and entered into this 18th day of November 1882 between E. Goddard, the clerk and master of the Chancery Court in Maryville, Tennessee, of the one part, and Sally Toole of Blount County, Tennessee, of the other part, witnesseth that whereas at the dear term 1874, that the Chancery Court in Maryville, Tennessee, in the case of R.N. Wood, something or other, at all. Um, anyway, it's got a bidding, a public auction bidding that went on. It talks about the premises, and it even mentions my great great grandfather. And this is why I was saying before that I wasn't sure that my great grandfather, started out in the Presbyterian Church, because one of the descriptions here is really interesting. Uh, it says that the premises is in Maryville Farm, where Newton Toole, that's my great great grandfather, then known, lives near the AME Zion Church, the adjoining the property of, and then it's got some other names. So contains 1/2 acre or more. So this is a deed to some land that Sally Toole actually purchased. Of course, it's got her signature and everything. I know you can't really read these documents. It's even got the seal on it and everything. But really, really interesting stuff. And there are a couple of dates on there, but the first date at the very beginning is the 18th day of November, 1882. 1882. Yep. And it is in Maryville, Tennessee. Well, it's got a lot of different places that my great grandmother's name is on. Her heirs and assigns the above described premises of all right, title, interest, and claim of all parties in said suit in and to the name to have and hold unto sold to Sally Toole, her heirs and assigns, so on and so forth. So that's a deed from my great great grandmother, my great grandfather's mom, and it mentioned it mentions his dad in there too. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of unique. Now I told you about a math book that I saw that my great great grandmother taught out of. I'm getting these greats and these grands all mixed up. Okay, but my grandfather's mom. But here's another. You see, it's in very good condition too. Math book, and in the front of it, written is a name, Flora E. Mayers. Flora Mayers, and she is that powerful woman that I told you about that graduated college at the age of 16. And it is a math book as well. A lot of different equations and different things. Arithmetic book. I'm sorry. They called it arithmetic. So it was an arithmetic book. Okay, I have that. And as I told you before, my great grandfather was the principal of the school, and of course my great uncle, Dr. Mayers, highly educated man. Um, he the school was named after him, Mayers Industrial Colored School. Um, but I have a bunch of report cards. They're actually from exams that were given. This one you can barely still see the ink. Let me see if I find another one that's a little bit more legible. At least I can read it off. You may not be able to see it, but let me see. Okay, and that one that I couldn't read, that's 1889 to 1890 is the date on that exam. Uh, and let's see, this one is 1891 to 1892 um, exam. Let me see if this one is a little bit more. You can see that these are fairly large documents, and I'm under the impression that they probably hung them on display for the students so that the students would see who had passed and who hadn't, or so on and so forth. Here's the list of the students' names. Here's their ages. These are the topics. Uh, uh, Now, I don't even know what this is. Orthography, reading, writing, arithmetic, grammar, geography. And in this particular case, there were 43 males and 36 females that sat for, you can hear the noise. My dog is literally trying to get into my office, and my granddaughter is trying to keep trying to keep her out. So 43 males and 36 females. Um, Number of pupils enrolled for the term. Number of pupils examined, males were 18, females were 12. Um, and what's interesting to me on this is that there are more males than females enrolled and graduating. And and today we have just the opposite. So I think that that's interesting. Um, then you have the people signing off on the report card. So then you have the teacher's remarks and comments, and everything is done with quill and ink. So the handwriting is. I remember growing up, my mom used to always say that her grandfather had the best handwriting in the world, and now I realize that it's because it's being done with ink and like a quill, so that it kind of gives it that unique look. Let's see what this one is. One of these is very I call it the important one. I'm not sure which one it is, but because apparently there had been some plague or sickness or something that went through the neighborhood, and it also got into the school as well. And I'm sure, I'm not I think they lost some students. I think some students did perish because of the whatever that was that got into the school. Again, here's another record. I don't know, you can't really see it, but again, the students' names. There seem to be quite a lot of them. A lot of them with the same last names too. Their ages, their grade. They're in various grades and various ages sitting for this exam. Here we have a number of pupils enrolled, 43 males and 36 females. Again, the males are outnumbering the females. Here you have number of pupils examined. Again, the same thing happens. Uh, 18 males, 12 females. And then the promotion, the number of students promoted also. And then there are comments over here. Um, Again, orthography, reading, writing, arithmetic, grammar, geography seems to be what was taught. This 1891 to 92. This one is 1889, 1890, and well, this one is a little bit darker, but I still don't know if you'll be able to see everything the way that it is. There's one of them, and this one is signed by my grandfather. Um, Beautiful signature, handwriting. Um, and that's signed February 1890, 16th and 21st days of February 1890. Interesting stuff. Anyway, oh, and here's the last thing that I'm going to cover today. I'm sorry, I've got a bit of I don't know what it is, but anyway. So I told you that Dr. Mayers, oh, and I was supposed to cover that for my grandma who wrote that short thing. Anyway, this is going to all be edited and hopefully not too long of a video. But I told you my great uncle, I get the greats and the grands all mixed up. Here's his book, God, God's Dealing with the Negro. R. Mayers, and he's got a bunch of alphabets behind his name. A. M. Comma S. T. D. So he's got a bunch of initials behind his name and everything. His accreditations or whatever, certifications, accreditations, whatever the case may be. Which he was Dr. Mayers, and so he wrote this book, God's Dealing with the Negro. And as I've been going through this memorabilia, trying to prepare everything, I I really felt a little, I won't say ashamed, but I felt a little bad because I've never read this book. I've read 50 million books. I am the book lady. I have a lot of books, and I read a lot of books, and I've never read this book. And I started reading some of the chapters, and it's very interesting, very interesting. Um, I toy with the idea of republishing uh, this book, um, and maybe I will. Um, I read some interesting things out of it. So let me see. It was published actually in, let me see. Let's see. It was published, copyright, well, copyright's no good anymore, but it was copywritten in 1919. Copywritten in 1919, all rights reserved. And yeah, I may republish this. I mean, historical significance abounds, and so I may republish this. But yeah, so that's my contribution. I'm thinking that I've got some other pictures or something. I'm thinking of one picture in particular. Remember, I told you that one of the ladies I showed you a picture that she was my mom's nurse. Well, there's a picture of my mom and my aunt while they're little girls, and their nurses with them. And I didn't see that. I can't find that. So I'm going to look for that. I'm also probably going to put something together just to add my mom and my aunt. And I had an uncle that was adopted, um, and see if I can find a photo of him and put something together. But my reason for doing this is I'm calling this the Legacy Project. And it's really for those that come after me, my children, my grandchildren, great grands, whatever the case may be, so that they know their heritage and where they're from, so that they know that no matter the odds against them, um, oh yeah, I need to do some stuff with my grandparents as well. Um, so I will be putting something else on this, but it is of historical significance, of family significance, and of Black history significance. So anyway, that's what I wanted to put together, and even some of the stuff up here that you'll see my my grandfather's sister Marie. Now, when I say that grandfather, my grandmother divorced my real grandfather, my blood grandfather, but she did remarry, and that grandfather is the grandfather that actually raised me, my cousin. Great man. Oh my God, smart. Um, his story alone, just telling some of the stuff, and I'll catch up on that. Um, but that's his sister, and she's a teenager in that photo, and she passed away not long after that. So she did die as a teenager. Anyway, that's it. Just wanted to share a lot of this stuff with you guys, and for my family members, I want you to understand that there was a significant time post slavery where Black folks thrived and did very well until Jim Crow. Jim Crow had a adverse effect on Black folks. But we can't blame Jim Crow now. Um, and we need to look to the strength of the slave and the strength of the ex-slave. When all the the roads are equal and level, we as a people exceed. All right, that's it. I hear my family stirring about out there, and I'm going to go join them. Bye bye.